Welcome, everyone. I am Joe Rendace, and this is the second episode of my podcast series called How to Fake It When. Each episode focuses on important moments of our lives that we suck at and explores how you can better fake it until you make it. So, join us for a thought-provoking session of some fact, some fiction, and a little fun that looks to explore the reality and wretchedness of human interaction. As I mentioned in our first podcast on how to fake small talk, all of these podcasts are infused with AI. We're cutting edge around here. And by AI, that means the asshole inside of me. Say hello, buddy.
Do we get a group rate at the shrink?
Nice. So, today's podcast episode is sponsored by the fine people of Blazing Bourbon, where if you drink enough of their product before, during, and after this show, you'll personally need a different kind of sponsor. Alright, so today's session covers how to fake it when discussing movies. Let's start with a pop quiz. What does the word movie even mean? Well, technically, it's a series of still photographs on film projected in rapid succession onto a screen by means of light. Ouch. Boring.
You should kick your own ass.
Yeah, no argument there. Even I stopped listening to myself halfway through that and looked at my phone. But I had to set the stage on terminology. Same way I could go to Italy and listen to at least 7 different dialects of Italian for the same word, I can find 7 different terms of moving pictures. Let's see, we've got movie, picture, flick, feature, video, show, cinema if you're overseas, and film if you're in a really, really pompous mood with your pinky up through the whole discussion at the Cannes Film Festival. But let's stick with the term movie. What a difference a few decades will make. Before TVs, you had to go to the movie theater. And that first one was in New Orleans in 1896. So, Bourbon Street and a movie. I know our sponsors love the history of that, huh? And that takes us to TV. By 1955, half of American homes had a TV set. It gave us something new. 30 to 60 minute TV shows compared to 90 to 120 minute movies. And movies in the theater were a big thing. Sometimes you had movies like Jaws, which was in the theater for 3 months in 1975. I remember that. 3 months! Nowadays, if a movie even makes it to a theater, it's gone in 3 weeks. People are already looking for a sequel to be released the day it drops out of the theater. You know what? No patience and ADD go well with a nice glass of blazing bourbon.
Stop that.
Okay, I did plug that one again pretty quick. Fair. So back on track. 70s led to the Betamax and VHS wars of the 80s, followed by DVDs in the 90s, and you guessed it, Blu-rays and streaming services in the 2000s. Incidentally, if you're thinking Netflix was the first streaming service, it wasn't. It was actually ITV, a determined little project from Hong Kong in the late 90s that you will never hear anybody again mention outside of a history blurb like this. But Netflix was the first successful streaming service. Even though they started as a snail mailing 3 DVDs at a time shipping service to your house. You remember that? I do. And the days of copying those 3 DVDs on your PC at home, you could have them ripped and returned to the mailbox before the mailman finished going through your neighbor's birthday cards for cash. Oh, and don't forget Blockbuster Video got on that bandwagon. 3 DVDs, snail mailed out. Plus, you'd get a coupon to go redeem in their stores for another movie or video game. My kid loved that one. But a free $2 movie coupon that ultimately cost me $13 of crappy candy boxes and...
Is this what PTSD sounds like?
Stop. Let me relive my nightmares with blissful nirvana. Oh yeah. that hits the spot. Freaking Raisinets. Rocks in a box. Anyway, now that we've set the stage with the historical facts on movies, let's delve into how to fake it when chatting about movies. This is really where the fun begins. There's all different types of genres of movies. We got comedy, action, thrillers, horrors, westerns, musicals, and romance, rom-coms, which are romantic comedies. We got dramas, we got animated, and now thanks to CGI, right, computer graphic imagery, we got a slew of comic book movies and straight GI movies without a human scene in it. Yikes. As I mentioned in my other podcasts, prepare your day by knowing the top 3 movies coming out that week. As we now agree, it can be in theaters, on broadcast TV, or streaming. Go to imdb.com and see what's dropping this week. Or Fandango, or, and I can't believe I'm saying this, DVR and watch Entertainment Tonight. God, that show's been on for 42 years. 4 decades. It's over 12,000 episodes. I would need 12,000 bottles of bourbon to have watched all of them.
You definitely need something.
Well worth it. Next up, know your audience. As best you can before you have to fake it through a movie conversation. Now, let's set up a real-life scenario. You're out at dinner with your wife and another couple. You loathe these people. Not have a healthy disdain for them. Loathe. They're condescending, brash, arrogant, just all in all, general assholes.
Hey.
Sorry, no relation. So going into this, I'm preparing by venturing into unknown depths. I check descriptions for foreign films, indie films, Sundance films, few low-budget religious films that seem to be popping up like pimples on a teenager nowadays. For these types of people, I could skip everything with a car chase, superpowers, or anything with Will Smith in it. Sorry, Will. Most of us still try to keep your names out our mouths. Alright, so now I'm ready. This couple has just finished their appetizers. The wife, who we'll call Stuck-Up Sandra, readjusts the pearls around her neck for the 4th time as her half-inebriated husband, who we'll call Sleeping with Her Sister Bob, licks the inside of his gin and tonic glass clean. Sandra, disgusted with Bob, the waiter, her aging skin, and her sneaky slut sister, looks me in the eyes and asks if I've seen the latest coming attractions for the movie directed by Wang Dong-gyuk. You maintain your gaze as your mind only hears her saying Donald Duck, and you try not to laugh. When she sees you hesitate, she rolls her eyes, and after a deep breath, she says his last movie was Squid Game. You blink twice, as all you heard her say was Squidward, and now you hear the SpongeBob theme in your head. But you pull it all together, and here comes tip number 1. Excuse yourself and go to the bathroom. Now, this may seem like a bit of a cop-out, but it's in the safety of the porcelain throne where you and your supercomputer phone will find victory. Quick search and you'll be back at the table before your wife will have taken too much collateral damage. Once you recenter in your cockpit, land your jet right up Sandra's landing pad. Note here, you could have also just faked the call with your phone. Make believe it buzzed and it's super important and you have to step away for a moment. This will require a bit of acting skill, but if you're married, you're already a veteran performer. Alright, so we've covered the snoot couple. Now let's focus on the single people. We'll skip guys talking to their buddies because they're not going to care much what they know or don't know. These testosterone-laden fist bump discussions will usually center around everything Stuck-Up Sandra would have cringed at. Sex, drugs, sports, and rock and roll. So there's a good chance you know that stuff already. Women, on the other hand, and their women friends, may be a little more judgmental if they don't know or like the same movie. But then, they judge everything from their shoes up to their eyeliner. Men, we're lucky we know how many eyes you have.
That's actually true.
Ah, see? I knew I'd wear him down eventually. All right, so let's keep this interesting and make it a blind date. We'll have Lester meet Karen at a restaurant. Both are in their late 20s, are coming off bad relationships, and were forced to show up for this by mutual friends. Lester's inadequacies have mounted and crashed like a wooden Jenga tower after his last date thought it was sweet that he played Pokemon cards with his little brother, and then found out he was an only child. Karen also is not exactly living the life of the women on the Bachelorette TV show. She's had a group of men pursuing her in her past, but none of their wives appreciated it. Alright, so now that we've set the mood, let's fast forward later in that evening. They've had a few drinks, managed to sidestep any topical landmines like religion and politics, and have even moved a little closer to each other. It's getting late, and Lester asks her if she'd like to go out again. Maybe a movie. She smiles and agrees, then she quickly asks what kind of movie does he like.
Danger. Danger.
And here comes tip number 2. Never let yourself be asked to make the decision or volunteer information on a date, especially a blind date. This is like proactively asking plus-sized women what they're naming the baby when there's no babies on the way. Stand down. You can't accidentally let it slip that you want to see anything with the word Vin or Diesel in it. Nothing that's based on a cartoon character or most stupid video games. You've already had her keep one hand on her pocket mace when she arrived to meet a stranger whose name rhymed with molester. So, instead, you ask her if she'd like to go see a movie and flow straight to what is it she is interested in seeing. She may free flow with some rom-coms or a drama, and maybe if you get lucky, something in English without subtitles. No matter what, you nod in delightment like you were just about to mention those exact movies too, even though you've forgotten everything she said already. In which case, use tip 3. Tell her you love any of the accessories to her outfit. Earrings, shoes, necklace, rings, bracelets, anything. It's always a good diversionary tactic and change of subject. Remember, a night that doesn't end with a fight is always a delight.
You got mail.
Oh, okay. When you hear that sound, it's time for me to answer some of the email I received from the last podcast. In an interest of time, I'll keep it down to the first 3 questions that came in. I haven't read them yet. I like to keep this spontaneity flowing, even though I can't say the word spontaneous quickly enough there. But I'll assume their expediency shows their passion for the quality of material I discussed. All right, let's see. Question number 1 was from a fan in Chicago. Joe, you were spot on, 100% correct in your analysis. Oh, see? That's the way to start out with your questions. Thank you, sir. Let's finish this letter. Joe, you were 100% correct that you're a nobody. Get off the air, get off the planet, and leave me a cup of Java on your way out. Love, AI. Oh, real funny. How the hell did you even write that?
Let me out.
No. We won't have any of that.
Did you like the Java reference?
Yeah, cute. All right, next. Question 2 from Tom in Virginia. Joe, I like that you use facts and percentages in your podcast. Well, thank you, Tom. I feel it's important to bring a little factual wisdom to my airtime. Let's read the rest from you. So, Joe, do you think you could provide 50% less suck to your material? I use your podcast as a sleep aid. All right, we got some real winners here. Let's finish off with number 3 and hit and hope. Question 3 from Lisa in New Jersey. Joe, as a Northeast New Jersey girl, I recognize your accent and know what state you live in. Well, Lisa, I think my accent is pretty obvious. Let's see if you nailed it. Joe, I'm sure you live in a state of delusion thinking you can run a podcast. My cat started screeching and clawing at its own ears before he... All right, let's just mark that one as read. Well, so much for spontaneous email reading. And that's the end of our second podcast. In summary, we covered how to fake movies with strange couples and blind dates. Tip number 1 was get up and get out when cornered. Tip number 2 was never let yourself be cornered to make the decision or volunteer information. And tip 3 is change the subject with flattery. Usually always works. So, by applying these useful tips with a little time, effort, and practice, you'll never feel cornered or not in control of any conversation. I want to thank my guest host, my AI.
Did you take your pills?
And thank you, my listeners, for sharing your time with us on our first podcast. Please follow us and spread the word that no matter how crappy your day is going, no matter how much you'd like to run screaming while stuck in traffic, relief in the form of a little bit of fact, fiction, and fun is only a click away. Later all.